Hey guys, it's Anthony here. I am in Austin, Texas, and 5 years ago I encountered some cheaters in the Tampa market in the PLO streets. We got them caught, and they were just found here in Austin as well last night. Luckily, I recognized them, was able to alert the floor, and they were able to catch them and ban them from the room. I'm going to break down the history that I'm aware of, as well as give you guys the receipts from others who have caught them in other parts of the country. And then we'll explain exactly what they've been doing so that you guys can be aware and you can protect if you're, working at these rooms, you can protect your rooms from these cheaters. Or if you're a player, you can recognize them and get them caught. So, back in 2020, the height of COVID, we were just, the lockdowns were kind of over, and the poker rooms were back up, the casinos and stuff. I was playing at the Tampa Hard Rock mostly, but I also played at Tampa Greyhound Track, where they have a Monday PLO game at the time. I don't know if they still do. I haven't been there in over 3 years, but we had these two Cuban players that always sat in seats 1 and seat 6, diagonal from one another, and each of them was always very consistent in which one was in seat 1 and which one is in seat 6. The player who took seat 1, if someone already had seat 1, he would pay them like $50 to give him that seat. And we knew that the two of them worked together. We knew that they would signal one another, try to trap people in between them for raises. But they played such bad hands, we didn't care. Um, and we had played with them for a while, and they were wild and woolly and showing up with just garbage, but sometimes winning. And I didn't play with them the entirety of the sessions. I would, play early in the morning when the game started at 10. So I wasn't there all night. But obviously, as the game progressed, stacks got bigger, pots got bigger. And I went through a 2 month period with these guys where I would have them completely crushed, and then they would just come out smelling like roses against me by showdown. And it didn't make any sense, and it was kind of like a my Garrett Adelstein moment, where his spidey senses were tingling with Robbie, and I was having that spidey sense tingling. I was like, something's off, something's not right. And so I did a little searching, and I found a tweet from KRISTY ARNETT, which I'll share here, from a year prior to this, where she was talking about two Cubans that were believed to be marking cards. And there's also a tweet from POKERSASHA with more details in regards to them sitting diagonal from each other, which is what really stood out to me. And so I popped into that tweet thread and, was like, hey, I'm in Tampa. This is what I'm experiencing. And they said, that sounds like them. So I messaged the manager at the card room in Tampa and explained, what I had seen and what I was experiencing, and, what I believed. And his response was, oh, I've been in this industry 25 years. We use a burn card. How could they possibly know, the outcome of the hands? And I said, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but something's not right. And as long as they're playing there, I'm not going to be playing there anymore. So he said he'd put a fresh deck of cards in on Monday and, monitor it throughout the day. So fast forward 2 weeks, I haven't played there. I got a text from a buddy. The Cubans were just escorted out by security. They're banned for life. So the manager of the room, they're not going to tell you shit, but I know dealers. Dealers talk. And so I found out, what they were doing. And I started spreading the word. Some people sent me pictures of them, which I'll share here. This one that you're seeing right now, he's the guy who always sits in seat 6. When I saw him last night here in Austin, he was not wearing a hat. He's completely bald, and he didn't have facial hair, which you'll see in another tweet that comes later. Around 2021, when they were caught in well, I'll just put it up now by Rob Brown Pros, who tweeted about them getting caught in chasers in New Hampshire. So he had a beard then, but he didn't last night here in Austin. And then this gentleman here is the one who always sits in seat 1. So yeah, so they wound up getting caught in Tampa, and I had noticed they've been wearing Best Bet Jacksonville hats. So I contacted a manager up there. And as you can see in this email here, they had been caught a couple of weeks prior to my notifying that room. So they were making the rounds. These guys are based out of Florida, I think in the Miami area. And like I said, fast forward about a year, I had been on Poker Fraud Alert, which I'll share the link in the description, as well as the links to all these tweets and everything, getting the word out about these guys. And you know and they wound up they had a thread on the forum there, and again, like maybe a year later, they were caught in Chasers in New Hampshire, and so people updated the thread there. And so I never, I've been in the Austin market for about a little bit over 3 years now. I never thought I was going to run into these guys again. And last night into early this morning, I was in a very popular large poker room here in the Austin market, playing some PLO, and I noticed at one of the other tables a guy that looked very familiar to me. And so I called over the floor manager and I said, "Hey, you know, table 5, seat number 1, can you tell me what state he's from?" And he said, I really can't give out that information." And I was like, "Is it Florida?" And you could tell by the look on his face that it was. And I was like, "Yeah," I was like, that guy's a known cheater." And he said, "Oh, well, we've had some reports about those two," because I didn't see his other buddy there at the time, but from the angle I was at, and so, but he's like, we've had some people who are suspicious of those two guys, but we've watched them, we haven't caught anything, because I think people thought they were trying to trap them for raises and signaling each other. And so, I gave him my tale and kind of let him know what they were doing and how they were doing it. And he took action immediately. He went and took the deck out of play, put a fresh deck in, and then he was able to find the markings that they were making and ban them. And then I immediately, well, not immediately, but pretty soon afterwards, when I saw that they weren't there anymore, I went over and he's like, "Yeah, he's like, we caught them, and they're done." I went and I drove over to the other large popular poker room in the market to make sure they were aware, because they also have PLO games, and these guys may be cheating at Hold'em games too. I don't know, but they're in Texas. They're in Central Texas, at least right now. But there's PLO all over this state, so be on the lookout for these guys. And to let you know exactly what they're doing, they're both a couple of cokeheads, and so they've got the long pinky nail, the extra long pinky nail that they use to fucking snort it in your bathrooms. And they will use their fingernails to gouge the outside edge of the cards, right? Not on the top, but the edge on the side. And what happens is they are marking the high cards, Broadway cards, aces, etc., near the top. They're marking middle cards in the middle, and I don't think they're marking the low cards. And so essentially what happens is that the guy in seat number 1 can see the side of the deck, right? He can see the gashes and the markings that they've made. And so they aren't going to know the suits, but they're going to know if the flop is more likely to contain high, middle, or low cards, and they can play hands that are more likely to hit those boards. And so that's what they're doing. That's how they're getting away with it. And unfortunately, it seems that they're still in operation all these years later. They get banned from rooms, they just move on to the next room. So please, if you guys can help me spread the word, get this information out there, get their pictures out there. And I'm sorry, one of them, it doesn't show his face. It's the only picture I have that was sent to me by someone else. But if anyone has other pictures, by all means, get them out there. But please help me, spread this video, get the word out, so that these guys aren't fucking up your card room. And appreciate you guys for watching. Hopefully we can keep these guys off of the felt.